talked about this with so many people, what it feels like when you've been screaming at your child and then later on you get that crashing guilt. Hi everyone, I'm Miranda from the Cherish Mum Space Coaching. Thank you so much for joining me back at my channel. I love being on here. I love talking to you people, and I love hearing about what you guys are going through so that I can make videos that actually help you with it. All right, so today we're talking about mum guilt for shouting. Now, this is something that's massive and huge. Okay, now if you're a mum and you haven't shouted at your children, amazing. Okay, if you're a mum and you have shouted at your children, you are amongst good company, because I have definitely shouted at my children before and I know what it's like to feel that mum guilt. It's really not fun. Okay, and we can really start to sort of beat ourselves up big time about this stuff. Okay, because we know yelling's not ideal. Okay, some of us have got triggers about how we were yelled at when we were children, and we've got those awful memories, and it makes us feel really terrible that we've done the same thing to our child. All right, mum guilt for shouting is awful, awful, awful. So what do we do? What do we do when we've shouted at our child and we feel really, really terrible about that? All right, I'm going to be sharing some strategies for you. I usually do 3. I've got 3 here today for you guys. Okay, I'm going to be sharing all about this, and then you can ask questions if you want to in the comments. Okay, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about what I've got coming up at the end. All right, so let's get into it right now. Now, when you have shouted at your child, okay, for starters, if you shouted at your child and you stopped and gone, oh, and your child's upset, okay, one of 2 things can happen. Okay, so the first thing can be that you go, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to shout like that, and give your child a hug. Okay, and they might be willing to come to you. The other result is that your child can run away from you because they are scared of you. And who's up for going, whoa, that's not what we want our kids to do, and we feel so terrible about that. If that happens and your child feels scared of you, please know that you're not the only one, and you can do things to repair that relationship now. You can do things straight away to repair that relationship. It's awful to feel that guilt, okay? But we don't want the guilt to eat us alive forever, all right? We're going to be talking about that in a minute. But what can we do to deal with this situation? Okay, so the very, very first thing, okay, it doesn't matter which one of those scenarios happens, the first thing that we need to do is apologize. Okay, so if you have shouted and you've gone over the top at your child, okay, saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shout that at you. It sounds easy. It sounds really simple. It's not that easy to say, but it sounds really simple. Okay, something that I sometimes have to outline with my kids, especially if you've gone back a little bit later, so they're not annoyed, they're not upset then, and you're not still sort of upset, you can say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shout at you then, but what I said was actually still true. So I've had this conversation with my kids a few times recently where I've shouted and I've said exactly what needed to be said, but I shouted it. And so they were sort of deaf to it. So going back, I'm not apologizing for what I said, unless you've said something that you really shouldn't have. Of course, you need to apologize then. But if I've said, I need you to put your shoes on because we have to go out the door now and you are being too slow, okay? If you've said something like that, maybe that was just truth. Okay, as long as you haven't run the child down and made them, actually attack their character or said something really horrible to them, then that might be truth. Okay, so it's okay to say that, but it's definitely a good idea to say, I'm sorry that I shouted at you. I should have just used words, or I should have just talked to you in a calmer voice. All right, that's completely fine. Okay, so first thing to do is to make it better, apologize. Okay, and it might still take your child a little bit to come around after you've yelled at them, depending on the nature of the child, the personality of the child. Some kids are, respond fine, okay, and they can forget about things quickly. Other kids can't. Some kids are really sensitive and that'll stick in their mind forever. You cannot change what you did. You can only try and make it better now. Okay, so number 2, change the future situation. Okay, so this is what I do with lots of clients, change the future situation. What am I going to do next time that happens? Okay, it's how we change behavior in general. Okay, what am I going to do next time that happens to actually help that not to happen again? Okay, so change the future situation. So you can use, if your child's being late for school, okay, one of my more recent videos was all about morning routine chart for kids, okay, and just morning routines for kids. Okay, so just using that example, if you get really frustrated, like I do sometimes, in the morning when your kids are getting ready for school, having a morning routine chart there that they can read and you can direct them back to that instead of getting frustrated yourself too much, then that can really, really, really help, because you're actually future-proofing that situation. You're going, you know what, it doesn't mean I'm never going to get angry again, but I've put some stuff in place to try and help myself and help this situation go a little bit more smoothly. All right, and we do that sort of stuff all the time, don't we? Okay, we make sure our shoes are next to the door so that we can put them on more easily when we go outside. We make sure we've got an umbrella in the car just in case it rains. All this stuff is exactly what it is. It's future-proofing the situation. Okay, so that's all we're doing here. Another option that you can do if you want to change the future situation is to talk to a coach, someone like myself or someone around you who's helpful, maybe even a friend or a parent or someone who is trusted in your life. How can I change this situation? It's driving me bananas. What can I do instead of reacting that way? Okay, talk to someone, email me if you need to, but talk to a friend, someone else who you really trust to help you through that or to give you some more ideas. And the last one is to, if it's big emotion that's making you yell, which it usually is, okay, put a stop practice in place. This is my third tip. Put a stop practice in place. So basically do something that physical, usually it's physical, that makes you go, oh, I need to stop. I need to calm down. I need to remove myself. I need to take a deep breath, whatever. Okay, because it's all very well to say take 5 deep breaths when you're angry, but if you can't stop yourself, if you can't use something to stop the flow of that anger into the yelling, then it's really, really difficult. Okay, so to stop yourself and then do your calming activity. Okay, when I first started this job, I started going, all right, we're going to just do a calming activity. So let's just do 5 deep breaths. Well, yes, but you actually have to be able to stop, recognize what's going on. That's called emotional intelligence. And stop yourself. That's called emotional regulation. Okay, and the deep breaths and things, that's also part of emotional regulation. Okay, so listening to yourself and then responding the way that you need to, that's what we need to be doing. So what are some examples of some stop practices? Some people wash their hands, some people do this with their hands, some people might rub them together. Hands are a great thing to do things with. Some people might choose to do this while they're doing the 5-finger breathing, while they're that's part of both of them together. So you can do your stop practice by doing that. Okay, and then do a deep breath on the second time around. All right. What else do we do? Let me see. You can stomp, you can move out of the room, you can, which is a bit of both again. You can, or anything you can think of. You can touch here. You can there's all sorts of things. You can pull your own hair to get your own attention, something like that. And I'm not talking about doing that consistently always, but you know what I'm saying. Something that gets your attention and makes you go, I'm going too far down the emotional track. I need to change it. And now I can actively go and input some of my emotional regulation strategies. Okay, so mum guilt for shouting. Now, the last thing that I wanted to say on this topic is that if you have done these things, if you have said sorry to your child, if you have had think about the future, what can I do next time, a proper one, and you've really just thought it through and come up with a couple of ideas, and if you've, again, come up with some stop practices if you need to, or just reminded yourself of ones you already had, you need to try and let it go. Okay? I can see you out there. You need to try and let it go. If you've done the thing, you've done what you can to fix it, you need to try and let it go, because you can't just feel guilty all forever because you did something like that. Okay, yelling at our kids, lots of people do it. It's not ideal, we know. Okay, and I'm not in any way saying that we want that to continue, but if you've done everything you can, you need to shut the door on it and go, I'm going to do better next time. I've done what I can. I love my child. I'm going to focus, instead of focusing on the bad stuff, I'm going to focus on what I can do next time. Okay, and what are we going to do to move forward out of this emotional situation? All right, sitting there and ruminating over those things is very unhelpful. very unhelpful for you and your child and anyone involved in the situation. And also, it creates not so helpful mental paths in your head for you to next time ruminate over it more. Okay, so every time you can find a way to shift your focus, okay, you might shift it for 2 minutes and it goes back in there, shift it again, keep shifting it. Okay, if you're someone who has a Christian faith, pray about it, ask for God's help, shift it again. If you want to shift it, you can. Okay, so continue doing that. All right, I just challenge you to not sit there and sit in that guilty space. Okay, because I know what it's like and no one wants to be there. And if you've done everything that you can, that's all you can do. All right, so anyway, if you guys need someone to talk to about this sort of stuff, if you want to work on your mum guilt, if it's something that's just demolishing your brain space and you really, really, really need some help with it, okay, and that goes for overwhelm as well, or stress, or mindset stuff, or emotional stuff, emotional things, regulation, intelligence, all that sort of stuff. If you want to talk to someone, email me at cherishedcommunity@gmail.com. Okay, otherwise, if you want to grab my, what's it called, my morning routine chart for kids, don't forget to check out my Etsy shop. Okay, the other thing that I need to say to you is that down below in this description, there's lots of links. I'm just popping some links down there. So there's links to some of my Amazon products. There's links to different things that you can check out. Okay, I've got masterclasses. I've got a Dealing with Triggers masterclass if you're interested in jumping into that. Okay, it's recorded. If you would like to do that, then jump in. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Don't beat yourself up. Have a beautiful time, and I will see you very soon. Bye.